To my channel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Ursula, and
Hi,
it's from
everybody.
the Ascension Playground. If you've never been there, it's galactic astrology primarily. But the way I met Ursula was years and years ago, 5 years ago. She was in one of my first classes that I taught that I generated through YouTube. And I remember she kept coming to me and saying, well, this just doesn't feel right. I'm not sure this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I just kept saying, try on different things. That's how you learn what you're supposed to do. And so she tried herself all the way on to learning about galactic astrology.
Yeah.
And she's a very good practitioner of this. And I'm going to talk about this at the beginning. We'll talk about it at the end again. And she's got a couple of other things to talk about. But Ursula, explain to them what I'm holding up.
Well, Nancy, you're holding what's called a Starlight Report, and it's created through a program by Dr. Bernadette Brady. She's this amazing astrologer, and she studied the Egyptian stories of the stars.
Mm-hmm.
And, for me, it's always been about cosmic portraiture. So, like, I'm a trained painter and artist. So, when you look at the outside of somebody, that's one portrait, but the stars can help us understand a little bit more about our origins and also the gifts and who's there to help us. God, especially during these times where everything's up in the air and changing so quickly.
So I'm going to run quickly what you've offered people. You got a special offer from Ursula of the Ascension Playground. Ursula is now offering her Starlight fixed natal star report for the first 22 viewers who contact her. And I'm going to put that email up right now. I'm going to go to the banners and okay. And this is, I'm going to get rid of this thing, the other thing. So, and that's her kind offer. Usually I don't have people coming to talk to us bearing gifts, but she brought gifts.
Yeah, well, the gift is really like here's a mirror if you want to see it. But I'm only offering it to 22 people who send me their full natal information. Like if
Right.
you forget the city and state, so I'll tell you, it's just your first name. I don't need the last name, the birth date, so month, day, and year. So if like you forget the year, that's not a complete. I can't,
Yeah,
can't
well, that makes it a little tricky.
yeah. And then the city and state and country that you were born in. And then the most important thing, as you know, Nancy, is the time. Like you need to tell me morning or evening and
Mm-hmm.
the number. So sometimes, like working with people from around the world, sometimes they put their month and the date differently than us. And
Yes.
then also they don't tell me AM or PM. So it has to be very specific because it's that birth moment that aligns with the gifts of the stars and even
Right.
share some of your challenges that you agreed to when you came in. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, and that's what Ursula does, sort of. But we're going to talk about how she got from here to there,
Oh
or there
boy.
to here.
It's like
Okay.
doing a life review, Nancy, like the
It is.
shaman's
It is.
journey.
It's your
Yeah.
living life review right now. When did you first realize you might have psychic abilities?
I probably didn't realize it till I started comparing myself to others in school. So probably
Mm-hmm.
grade school. Yeah.
And did you have a single aha moment that said this is going on, or did it gradually build over time?
Um, well, first of all, the context in which I chose to be born is a family with 7 children, all born within a 10-year span. So my mom and dad, my mom was Chinese from China, and my dad's a German military man, uber Catholic. So to have that kind of lot of children all at once, remember the days of no birth control?
Mm-hmm.
So I was always the odd one, like in the tree trying to talk to the birds. And so that
Mm-hmm.
aha moment really came with the sense I just knew that the angels could loan me their wings and help me go up this massive hill. The days where you actually could walk to kindergarten unaccompanied.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Yeah. And so I just knew. And then the wind would come, and I knew that was help from the angels. So I've
Mhm,
always had a really strong connection with the angels. And I think my aha was, uh, well, I don't care what my brothers and sisters say. I was the second eldest, so they were
mhm,
mostly little rugrats. And I would just look into the heavens and the clouds. And I was always looking at the trees. My eyes were always like looking up. So I
mhm,
think I was born a little different. But the aha came when I think things started happening, like you get a certain poke and
mhm,
nobody's there. And
mhm.
so I kind of needed that. I'm like doubting Thomas. So I'm very, as you know, very analytical. I'm a double Virgo with a Pisces moon. So I do have this connection to the etheric realms. And I don't know. I just grew up for the first maybe 18 years thinking, yeah, I know I'm strange and weird, but I know how to mask it. So
Mhm.
learning how to shape shift into different communities. Um, and how to fit in, even though you knew you didn't
So
really fit in.
did you grow up in an immigrant family then in the US?
Not at all, just more of a military brat. Uh,
Okay.
so moved around a lot. And I think that I'm triple mutable, with Pisces and
You'd
Virgo.
have to be to do that.
So it didn't bother me as much as I'm sure it did my siblings and my mom and dad.
Well, good. Okay. And did you notice, um, you talked about how you could feel the wind and you felt more attached to nature than to the
Yeah.
people around you. Okay. How did people around you react when you began to share your experience, or did you share your experiences?
I was raised in a house where it was so Catholic. You didn't talk about those things that were odd or strange. Like really seeing a lion in the bedroom, sure that there were other beings there. So in the uber Catholic, it was Baltimore catechist too, and military. I mean, my family, if you can imagine that Sound of Music, where
Mhm,
the father like blows the sea whistle and you have to all line up and you all kind of dressed similarly. That
mhm.
was like five girls and two boys. And we didn't have room to be ourselves in those early days. In fact, that's usually how you were raised. And I was born in the 60s. So
Mhm,
yeah, my dad was military, so he was gone a lot to the wars and would come back bearing gifts. So it's Santa Claus and Christmas. And then the terror of before we knew what PTSD was, there
mhm,
was just what happened. It was like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde in my dad. But I've grown to see that I chose him,
mhm.
love him still. And that was the setup that I agreed to.
Yeah.
I guess that's a long way of answering a
No,
question.
no, 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 because I know you come from a very Catholic background. I was I grew up in a Protestant household, but I got thrown out of Sunday school for questioning some Calvinist principles.
Well, that would be you questioning everything.
Yeah, well, I was, and so I came home and I told my parents. I said, "Why would God create a system where He only lets 144,000 people into heaven at the end?" I mean, that's
I
the
didn't understand that.
stupidest. Yeah, and my dad said, "Well, it's just kind of an idea," and I said, "No, it got me thrown out of Sunday school. It's not kind of an idea." There.
I was such a do-gooder. I wouldn't be thrown out. But in Catholicism, they talk a lot about Mother Mary and the
Mm-hmm.
angels and Jesus as a hybrid, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
the Immaculate Conception, it's the divine human. And we're just really supposed to not think about, sex. We're supposed to think of Immaculate Conception. So it seeded some ideas in me. So I didn't understand when I took it to an extreme, that just got smacked down like no witches in our family or no derivation or you can't move too far off of the Catholic route. And I will say I appreciated that foundation. It gave us all something to do every Sunday. We took
Mm-hmm.
a whole pew in church, and then there was all the sacraments to get through. And so the sacred was part of it, but I didn't understand the contradiction between we're supposed to be like saints, but we could see the sinning,
Mhm.
the rest of the week. And it's
Right.
like, don't do like I do, but do like the Bible says. And so that was always like confusing.
Well, the Bible was very separate, and what they were teaching in those rooms was very separate from any sense of spirit that I felt. I even wrote an essay about it in high school, and my teacher flagged it and told my parents there was something wrong with me. I just talked about how much there was more God in the church I walked into when I was 14. I felt more of God and the presence of real spirit there than when it was full of all those people in their fussy clothes.
Wow. How old were you when you noticed that?
14.
You said that 14.
No,
Yeah.
actually, in the woods when I was about 12, I noticed we were doing a spiritual thing at a Y camp, and I felt myself raised up into the top of the trees. And I went, oh, all the rest of the world's up here. And the weird thing about my growing up was I was surrounded by Catholics. And um, it was actually nuns that took me aside and told me I was special and I shouldn't let anyone convince me I wasn't.
Oh, God. Isn't that beautiful?
And people say, oh, the nun. And I had a friend who went to I didn't go to Catholic school. I went to Protestant school. I went to public school. But Pam said, one of the nuns that had told me I was just different, she said, man, that woman was mean in class. And I said, well, that was her teaching phase. But,
Yeah.
it's like I could see them as people, not as penguins.
Well, I quickly went to the born again movement. I don't know if you remember that. I
Oh,
think
God, yeah, because
in
my
the
ex was in
70s,
the
my dad would say, "Look at all those hugger muggers." And he was sure I was part of the cult of a born again. This is in San Diego now,
Oh, God,
California.
Moonies and all those guys. You had
Oh, the
everything.
Hare Krishnas at the airport.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
like, oh, be afraid. They're crazy. They're all orange and they have shaved heads. Come to find out, like 20 or 30 years later, I'm like singing Hare Krishna and getting a hug from Amma. So it's this whole idea of the humanity that, we drop into 3D and it's like we're having these experiences. And I don't know, Nancy, for me, it was always a test. Will you just stop and look at yourself and know who you truly are
Right.
instead of trying to be everything to everyone? Because you understand, my mom, being from China, was always, there were these subliminal messages of, girls are to be seen and not heard. Um, I would challenge my dad in ping pong and win, or challenge him in debate. And it's like, no, there was these mixed messages of, would you just be quiet and we'll tell you who you are.
Well,
And so,
that's why I asked about the immigrant experience, because my parents came from Canada, and I know everybody goes, "That's not immigration. They're like us."
yeah.
Oh no, they're not like us. And when you leave a country, when you make the conscious decision as an adult for whatever pressures were behind it to leave a country, it puts you in a very different position. And my mother was always having to. She would correct my speech because I used to speak Canadian. I'd go and all that
Eh?
stuff.
Eh?
And about the hoose, because my parents came from a very Scottish sounding part of Canada. And she was like, no, you're here. You say it this way. Anyway, we won't get into that because we're talking about your journey. But did you seek training when you began to become aware, or did you explore things on your own?
Yeah, so again, think about like a dog pile. You're born into a batch of kids. And so
Mhm.
for me, the only way that I became able to be seen and sparkle was through painting and
Mhm.
through academics. So when I brought home straight A's, I got the praise. But it was in painting where I could allow myself to be more fully myself, and not even knowing, like, I'm not painting the trees, I'm painting the spirit or the expression, like as a 5 and 6 year old. And I let myself continue to do that. So I did get training first in the art world, and I
Mhm.
went to Loyola Marymount, and then I went off to Florence, Italy for a year to
Ooh.
learn more about painting. But I was a double major with theology as a second focus. So it was always like the spiritual and art coming together, and had to drop the theology major to graduate on time. But there's always been this sense of first get the training there. And that gave me permission. I knew I wasn't painting from my eyes. I knew I was painting from somewhere deeper within me, and I wasn't by myself. So I
Right.
want to say, that question, are you psychic? It has a broader umbrella. And so intuitive, or able to sense and know, or
Hmm.
allow for like spirit, I would say, okay, God, go ahead and paint through me. I'll just
Hmm.
be that open vessel, and you can go have some fun and I'll witness it. And then people would applaud me for what happened, but I always knew it was a collaboration, so to
Yeah,
speak.
I could paint really good watercolor as a kid, and people would praise me, and I realized I couldn't even remember painting it, and I was kind of like, I'm not. I kind of got awkward about taking praise for that, so I went into theater instead.
Oh, that's not a surprise.
No, my introverted personality would definitely have led to theater. Um, what specific tools are were part of your practice early on that you've carried forward?
Well, I'm very much a visual learner. And
Hmm.
so things that have visual aspects, again, I was drawn to the sky and the birds, and there's sound with the birds and the movement, but color. So the training beyond painting, I really had this split happen to me when I started having my own children, of which I've had four. Four
Hmm.
popped out, Nancy, between when I was 24 years of age and then 40. So then I wanted to know what the heck's going on with my kids. Is it me or them? And
Hmm.
I'm sure it's them. So I turned to astrology. And so the training for the esoteric, the metaphysical, and the multidimensional started happening from my quest to figure out what's going on with the other person. And that's so
Hmm.
Virgonian, right? Wanting to really zoom in and understand the other to be of service.
Right. Yes, I understand
So
that completely.
holy mackerel. So when I opened up the dashboard, I did the whole buffet, you know.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know, but there's been everything from listening, reading books, going to
Hmm.
those funky bookstores, getting private readings. I mean, Danny said he went to the Bodhi Tree bookstore. I know where that was. And up here in Northern California, we used to have logos. I'd always find myself, oh, okay, I like the art books, but now I'm in the astrology and
Right.
the fairy tale. Like
Yeah.
Nancy, your inner child card deck that you showed me, and I got
Right.
one, and the workbook really was a heart opener. It was like I could see and learn through story, through the lens of fairy
Hmm.
tales. Because for me, it was always the story. So whether it's reading the books on Seth, or Cryon's books, or Abraham, you remember way back when? You kind
Yeah.
of just evolve, like you
You
gobble it
gotta
all,
be
or I
old
gobble
like
it
us.
up, and then more, please.
Gotta
You
be
know,
old like us to understand who all those creatures were.
I know. So, but I think the real training happened when I went into San Jose. I met Jimmy Monson with
Hmm.
Eric Pearl's Reconnection Healing,
Right.
and became, one of the facilitator training programs. And I heard Robert Brunges also said he started with Eric Pearl. So that was working with the axiotonal grids and trying to help the body understand how to come into balance and
Alignment.
bringing in the ancient meridians online. So
Hmm.
then from Eric Pearl, I had a local teacher named Randy Masters, and
Hmm.
he actually is this math whiz that helped Drunvalo Melchizedek do the math on the flower of life and Merkaba.
Okay.
So he started teaching me about like tuning forks, the power of number, the power of shape. Um,
Sacred geometry.
Geometry came in real big, and then from Randy, I went to Robert Gilbert with the Vesica Institute. That's
Uh-uh.
like going to the PhD level of
Yeah, you're in
vibrational
you're in stuff
medicine.
that I read them and my eyes cross and go,
Oh my God, vibrational medicine. but the common denominator is, oh my God, we're so much more than we know
Oh yeah.
ourselves to be. Yeah.
And there's so many ways to get from here to there. For those who don't know what the inner child deck is, this is what it is.
Oh, I
It's
love
a
that.
huge mother deck.
Yeah.
And it's got all of the cards are just about as big as this box, guys. And when I first did my channel, I used to read a card from there every show
Oh, I
because
love that.
and they're
I
all fairy tales and they're all stories like that. And they've got it's just if you want something that will pull you in from all different sensory sides, that's a good one to start with.
And I think the power of the fairy tale, it opens us up to, well, it's not, like a reality show. It's
Mm.
okay, what archetype wants to talk to me today? And so these are tales that are in the collective, Hans Christian Andersen and Grimm's brothers. So it's like,
And
and
they
then
have
there's
them
this,
in China too. It's the same story.
yeah,
And it's not, and it's they find it centuries before.
Yeah, so the archetype. So when you start doing the fairy tale book, it's a great
Mhm.
gift for teenagers or parents who are trying to connect with their younger ones because, you know, they can relate to it in a way that's not life-threatening or they're not put on the spotlight. Um, yeah.
I had next to me when I was in high school and college this big fat book, and I mean it's like the size of a Oxford dictionary, and it was the myths and legends from all over the world.
Mm.
And I don't know, I don't even remember where I got the book from. I don't know how I found it. I kept it with me, and that's what I would read in the middle of the night when I couldn't sleep. And it's all the stories that are up in the stars and all the stories that are down here on Earth.
Well, I lived in fairy tale land. I would ride my bicycle to get out of my house, my parents' house, and just live in the library with all the
Hmm.
fairy tales from around the world. And later, that really helped me understand the star stories because
Right.
there is this connection of archetypes in a human experience in 3D. And how do we move beyond the tale for integration? Like how does Snow White deal with those seven dwarfs?
Yeah, and
Instead of fighting them, like
what
it's
do
all.
they really mean? Well, you were trying to get rid of the seven dwarfs.
I know I was one of the dwarves, but it's learning about the integration. Like,
I
thank
know.
you. That too is me. Like, I am grumpy. I am bashful. I am all the seven dwarfs. I'm even the witch that gave the apple, right?
Hmm.
So it's embracing I'm not separate, but I'm part of the whole story, the tale of humankind. And Nancy, I don't know if you know this, but there's a book called Star Tales of Mother Goose. And this woman took the nursery rhymes and
Hmm.
she made them into constellation stories. And then she said there's a secret order of the Mother Goose. It's like a hidden
No, I
um,
didn't know. I've never heard.
divine mystery school for the feminine. Yeah, it's the secret order of the Mother Goose.
Oh
So
no,
I was
I
figuring,
have a new. No, I have a new black hole to jump into.
oh, yeah, the goose stories.
Okay, what's the best advice any of your teachers ever gave you that you would pass on to someone who's trying to learn about their experiences?
Okay, so I'm going to go back to my painter hat. I'm in New York. I was given an audience with a really established New York gallery. And though they didn't accept my work, the advice was go deeper.
Hmm.
That was it, just two words, go deeper. And I'm like, okay, well, that stuck. And then the other two words that came to me later in life, I climbed Mount Fuji in Japan with
Hmm.
300 women who survived breast cancer.
Hmm.
Um, I wasn't a cancer survivor, but we were bringing awareness to the job I was working in to a high-tech company that wanted to make sure their Japanese employees would get regular mammograms. So
Hmm.
we summited Mount Fuji, and in the middle of the night when we were sleeping, I just heard these two huge words, and that is be still. So I'd
Mm-hmm.
say, be still and go deeper. And it's the hardest thing for me to be still, Nancy.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
just like,
I don't do that.
I have to walk to be still. Okay, I'm being still, I'm walking.
I'm not using my brain in another way. I'm just using it for the muscles, keep them moving.
Yeah.
And then, okay, how can you tell the difference between your psychic impressions and your imagination?
For me, it's not it's an interesting thing with the language, psychic impressions and imagination. For me, they overlap. Um, the imaginal realms, the make believe, open up this idea that something can come through. And so that's why I created an Ascension Playground. It was created with Robert and Jimmy Munson. So this idea that as a child, that wonder and make believe that we were encouraged to do when you're 4 and 5 somehow gets cut off later. So I also want to tell you, I took this recent class on remote viewing, and
Mm-hmm.
we were taught, the Stanford Research Institute way of understanding the right brain
Right.
and the left brain and the male and the female and receiving and pushing out. So it's this idea of um, psychically allowing that moment to just open. Now, is
Hmm.
that imagination? It's allowing it. So I think they work together, maybe
Oh,
imagination and
I don't think
psychic.
you can. I don't think a person without an imagination can have psychic impressions.
Thank you, because I don't think it's an either or. I think it's a blend.
Well, I think where it comes from is when you get there and you get critical of yourself later, and you're going, "Oh, I'm just thinking that up," instead of.
I know it's so hard to be a kid again. Like, when I do the Ascension Playground, hi, I'm Ursi. I'm trying to tell myself, okay, just be 5 and 6 again with that
Hmm.
wonder. Like the wonder of being at a park and look at all the green and oh my God, there's a squirrel. So we
Hmm.
have 2 dogs. So I go to the park a lot with these corgis and it's like, okay, I'm a kid. Look at that energy coming on the playground, like on the swings when you hear the kids laughing. There actually is medicine, and I know my body is at a cellular level receiving that joy. That was kind of a long way of around.
No, that's great because when we relax, it's a trust building process with ourselves.
So hard to relax, huh?
I know.
I'm so serious. I have all these books and I just read and think and I absorb. But then, like, when do you ever stop? So go deeper. But first, you have to just be, uh,
Hmm.
you know, and
Yeah, I saw an interview with someone yesterday she's an astrologer I followed for years, and I really like her, but she said, "I'm breaking away from all of the too much woo, just too much woo." And she said, we all sit here and we all go, "Well, of course we meditate." We all nod sagely at each other, and we all know you don't meditate any more than I do. What do you mean?
no,
And
I think some people do meditate,
oh,
but it's a mind training and clearing out of the clutter.
and my brain still is at least 4 big vans worth of cleaning out before it gets to that point.
But you've done remote viewing, so to do that, you really have to get out of your way. And oh my God, I got some
I
things like,
just did it though. I can't imagine going somewhere and having someone teach you how to do that.
well, I wanted the flight path, like, okay, A to B to C, and then can you
Okay.
lift off? And I
Hmm.
was able to lift off, maybe not for too much, but I want to experience this multidimensional quantum. Like you can talk about quantum, but I want to experience nonlinearity. So it's
Hmm.
like we can have the wah wah woo woo words, but I think now for me it's, well, let me feel it for myself. Let me experience it. And if we're this, I think the veil is thinning so much that really finding our family of frequency, people who make us feel good, just
Hmm.
like it's a vibe thing. And it's okay. Blessings for I'm not with this group anymore. I've evolved or they've evolved, and it's okay. We're like oscillating and going,
Hmm.
wow, wow, it's that fast. And going back to the thought about astrology, I always had this idea that, oh, I have to learn it for several years or more and get all this in-depth training.
Hmm.
Then I had this reading like, you've already been an astrologer. You can just bring it back into your awareness. And I'm like, yeah, let's try that. So instead, it was just this blend of like trusting whatever that portrait is going to be, um, permission. Not every portrait is, you know, like polished. It's
Hmm.
beautiful and like, oh, look at those wisdom lines and look at
Hmm.
what the soul agreed to do to come in. Like Nancy, and looking at yours, galactically, you've got a royal star Antares at your ascendant. What it's with the galactic center. It's like, of course, her ship is your ascendant is going to go into these really deep places.
And they're kind of, but they're, I took a year of astrology. I went once a week and went to her house and we worked on people, world events. This was back before computers, guys. This was back when you had to draw it out of a
Oh,
book.
and calculate the math.
And I'm not, and I mean, thank God they had little handheld calculators because I'd have been screwed. And, at the end of it, I realized I could lay down 7 cards and see what all that work had taken for me to see. So I was like, I don't understand. And
It
my
is.
astrologer, Helen, who taught me, was furious because she said, "You're so good. You should be doing this." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'll go be a card flipper. I'll go sit in the cheap seats. What can I say?" But we're moving on.
Yeah.
Have there been moments where you doubted yourself? And I think I know the answer to this question.
Oh, always. I mean, I think that was part of my imprint, like to forget who I was and only embrace parts of me that I thought were pre-approved in the homogenization of our society. You get
Hmm.
it pounded out of you not to be different. Especially, again, an Asian mom suffering through the war of Mao Zedong and having starvation. So we always had like like food we had to eat, even though like there were weevils in it. It's like, I'm not eating weevils. Like that's just no way.
Yeah, your mom is the people that I was told as a child, eat that food. Children are starving in
In
China.
China. Well, gosh, I forgot the question, but
It's what.
doubting myself.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm a doubting Thomas. Like, you have to prove it to me. I want to put my hand or finger through the wound. So this is why my default, Nancy, as a double Virgo, give me the data. Give me the data, let me cipher through it. And if there's a through line, great. Like, I'm not just gonna come out and say what everyone else is saying. But I will tell you, these starlight reports, the gift being offered, if you don't mind my sharing, your heliacal setting star, Nancy, is one that's called the gatherer of the grapes. So you're
Hmm.
going to be the gift that the gods gave you on a story level is you're going to gather people and information and stuff that has this, you're going to like things and people are going to orbit around you. And it's the time of the harvest. So
Hmm.
you're very much, so I would say like astrology in and of itself wouldn't be enough to feed you. The grid that you know
Hmm.
I bought from you, I had the best year of sales of my art. I haven't done another grid since, but it's like, okay, let's just play the game. Magico presto, the phone starts ringing. And so it's like,
You can
okay,
refire it up. They never stop.
okay, power up the grid. And I got 2
Mhm.
eggs.
You're one of the few people who has both eggs.
Yeah, I had to have it all. So Yeah, so doubting yourself, I think that's part of just not wanting to be wrong or not wanting
Mhm,
to be called fraud or a witch or fake. There's a lot of words. And the pivotal switch for me was really when my mom died and then my
mhm,
dad died several years later, when there was no one left to judge me that I gave power to. I felt this is when the launch of the YouTube channel, the Ascension Playground, came to be.
mhm.
I wanted to thank my dad for helping me. He would coach me in theater productions as a kid. I was the Pied Piper, Nancy. Of course I was.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so that was my gift back to him, but he's probably rolling in his grave with the content. Like it's not Catholic.
No,
It's,
if he's died, he already realizes, oops, they lied to me about that.
yeah. I mean, there's a bigger story at play.
Mhm.
And I think the next generation will see us as there was a bigger story that was just taking its time to unfold.
You know what they're going to have the most trouble with? They're going to not understand the ego restrictions we lived with.
The what restrictions?
Ego.
Ego.
You know, our ego is what tells us we're wrong. They're
I,
almost egoless.
wow.
They're going to be
I
almost
hope that
egoless.
we really move towards a heart-centered,
Oh, it is. Will
human
be. Because ego's
free.
brain, ego's the mind, and the heart is a much bigger energy field. And when our heart takes over, that's when we can really see.
Well, can I just jump in and add? One of the design systems I love talking about is human design.
Oh, yeah.
Because it does say, tell the mind to get in the back seat, because my authority in how I make decisions goes in the front seat. So the mind has a role. We don't get rid of
Mhm.
it, but we say, get in the back, Jack, because I'm a 4-6 emotional projector here to guide
Mhm.
others. I'm going to let that step forward and only receive invitations and say yes to the ones that feel good, like you saying, hey, you want to come and have a chat about, well, being psychic.
Mhm. Well, and you know, I call it psychic profiles, but people have all kinds of skills and levels of intuition and information and energy. It's really, I couldn't call it energy profiles because then no one would watch it. But um,
Yeah.
that's really kind of what I think it is. There's a couple of astrologers who are like, what I do isn't really psychic, and they'll say, I have proof here, and I go, yeah, but you found the path to the proof there, you know.
Yeah, that's what I do with readings. I will do a lot of research, whether it's on the galactic astrology calculator, looking at the stars that go even more than the Egyptian starlight report. And I'll look at the human design. I'll look at the destiny card. I'll look at the various archetypes. And then my gift is being a through line to say, wow,
Mhm,
this adds up. What do you think? But it is about cosmic portraiture. It is
mhm,
about knowing who you are. Like looking back is great, but knowing like who you are. And so that mirror of self, um, I think it helps you understand where am I going when you know who you are.
right.
So,
I
yeah.
agree. Have your abilities gone through weak and strong phases?
Oh, yeah. I look at it more as cycles.
Yeah.
Cycles when I feel like doing something and putting myself out there, and then, hey, let's take another break and step back. Whether it's a chosen break or my adult children are having some kind of drama or crises, which I know you're familiar with, it's like, okay, it's this balancing of the fullness of a life and not
Hmm.
being too hard on how come I can't get back to that yet. So it's an ebb and flow, and it's almost this trust and surrender. Like
Yeah.
you were always talking, Nancy, about being in the flow. I mean, I
Right.
think that's one of your words, like that Andromedan flow consciousness is how I think of you with the
Hmm.
purple. Like there she goes. The purple is the high level frequency of just stay in the flow. And whether it's up or down, I don't need to beat myself up. I'm just like, it's just here now. Like, okay, it's pretty good right now, Nancy. We're talking
Right.
and
No, and and I know you've been through some stuff in the last years with illness and things around you, and now you really appreciate when you're out of that, and we really appreciate moving into a 1 year when we're getting away from all that
Yes.
crap.
Yes. In fact, that 1 year, uh, we're shedding the skin of the wood snake still, and then
Hmm.
February 17th, we'll embrace the herd of the fire horse. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in this upcoming summit with Julia
Oh
Balaz.
yeah, we need to talk about that too. You want to talk about that now, and we can go on with the questions. I'll mark where we are.
Oh, well, sure. So this is the second annual, what's called Quantum Soul Guidance Summit. And right now, like I was one of the early people to get certified. And
Hmm.
I'll tell you a funny story. The way I found galactic astrology was through Robert Brunges saying, "Hey, I think you'd really enjoy meeting Anne Marie." And so Anne Marie and I got together and we were talking about how fun it would be to invite Julia Balaz to come talk to us about galactic astrology. Little did we
Hmm.
know that we would both enter her certification program. And so I got to meet people from around the world who were as strange and weird and into the woo woo and wonder as I was. I mean, it's the first group. It wasn't about the math or the geometry or the, hey, which type of astrology are you focused on, or how many houses are there, 12 or really 13 if we bring in
Oh God, when
Ophiuchus.
they get into those
I was
mechanics.
like, oh, it's so heady. But this group, it's really so there's a summit happening January 12th through 15th. And I'll be
Hmm.
talking about, they put me in the lineup as the first speaker, but we're talking about the remembering. And
Hmm.
it's
Is this
ancient,
going to be online or is this going to be in
the
person?
free online. It's
Okay.
let's see, the 12th through the 15th. All you do is have to register, and then you'll get these links, and they're up for.
Okay. How do they register?
Well, if you read in the description that you're going to post, right,
Right. Hmm.
there's a link to Julia Balaz and her
Okay.
registration form. But if you're into this woo and you want to learn more about the stars and quantum, it's looking at ancient codes and
Hmm.
cosmic currents. But the big focus is we're evolving. The new human is coming online. And
Right.
it's not just about people being born, new babies. I think we're coming online as, the light codes and the
Yeah.
three eye atlas and everything are
It
coming. So if you
started in 2017 when our part of where we are in the galaxy rolled away from a cloud that was protecting us from photonic energy. And all of a sudden in 2017, scientists started to see enormous shifts in photonic energy showing up. And I've talked about this before, guys, and we're all changing. And there were cancer researchers who started finding changes in some people's cellular structures that they weren't putting in there. They weren't things they were targeting. And so this cancer researcher got talking with her husband around it, and he goes, "Well, when did you guys start seeing this?" And that's the same time we rolled into the photonic energy. Well, you had to look down at the cellular level they were looking at to see it, but we all are changing rapidly.
you
And
can
so it's just it's going to be a little harder on those of us born in the old real ego era to break
feel.
away.
Well, maybe this is a shout out that if you're starting to see things or hear things or have vivid dreams and you're like, what's that about? Or I'm afraid to talk about it with anybody, they'll think I'm a little nuts. That if you join in this global summit, you might actually resonate with one of the speakers. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
telling you, the lineup is extraordinary. You're going to find a little taste of this big multi-dimensional dashboard. And I come on just talking really about this age of Pegasus that I believe we're in between
Hmm.
Pisces and Aquarius. And then I'm also talking about the year of the fire horse in celebration of the Lunar New Year. Again, that's my ancestry of Gung Hai Fat Choi. So, just looking at how do we begin with the moon instead of the solar year or dovetailing both of them. So it's a big shift with the fire horse coming.
Hmm.
It is a great way to launch that 1 year with fire and action and well springs of innovations and imagination. So your question about imagination and psychic sensing, I think we're just this photonic light belt and the veil thinning. It's like, again, I think we're going to see, know, and people are going to come, like the synchronicities are going to increase, Nancy.
Oh, I know.
Like you don't have to go study as much. It'll just, what you need to know, I think some of us, it'll just pop in. Like ask me the question and bam, I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna pull it
I'm
down.
listening to what you're saying. I'm just trying to get to. I just looked over and it didn't. I couldn't find. But I'm going to send you to Julia's site, and that'll get you where you need to go.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
Or you can contact. I don't know that you want all the contacts from people about that, but then you can just send it to them because I just looked it up. It didn't show up on my
I tell you
thing.
what, I'll make a little commercial on the Ascension Playground in
Okay.
YouTube, and they'll find all the speaker lists. They'll find out the registration link. So just save the Ascension Playground. Give me a few days, and I'll pop it up. Um, but again, it's for those, I think we're all coming online in some ways. There's some of us that are kicking and screaming, no way, I'm going to stay with my sports and football and shopping and, materialist stuff. But we're going to get shook, and it's a good shook. It's how we have to kind of evolve. I keep going back to my Lemurian self, and I say
Mm-hmm.
when my body starts feeling a little bit like, I go, okay, I had a Lemurian body. Let me bring that into my energy field and
Right.
feel more whole. I think we can start doing this because why not?
Okay. We're
Instead
going
of
to
going
go
to the
through
doctor.
we need to rip through the rest of our questions because we've
Okay,
long
okay,
to.
here we go.
How do you protect your energy?
Yeah, that word protection was really big when I started in the woo. Now it's about alignment and
Mm-hmm.
raising my vibration and frequency. So I was a facilitator for the Stargate experience in Mount Shasta, learned and had fun with that. And so it's all about vibration and disease, and negative energies. If you're up so high, it falls. I mean, so protection is kind of an older word. Today it's alignment is what I
Mm-hmm.
would say.
Yeah. And do you think psychic abilities are innate, or can anyone develop them, even if they didn't think they could?
I think we all have the mechanism. I mean, Nancy, have you heard about the telepathy tapes?
Oh,
These
yeah.
nonverbal autistic kids and adults talking to each other telepathically. So, from the outside, what do you think? Are they in there? And here they are with what what is it? Hennessy Powell.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, no, I think it's all in our wiring. And I say to myself, if they can do it, God, Nancy, we can do it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like they meet at this place, right? And they have this whole network. Um, anyway, I think it's all in our wiring. It's just, do we
Okay.
want
And
to?
just, do we want to work on it,
Yeah,
or let it through? Sometimes it's not working. Sometimes it's we work harder at keeping it inside than letting it just happen.
yeah.
Okay. And then, has the work changed your worldview, or your own beliefs about life and death?
Oh, yeah. From Catholic to born again to just Christian to spiritual. Um, look, I think when people look at the world or Earth from outer space, there are no boundaries, right? It's one humanity. And I think doing the work and talking about quantum, it's like there's not only just one humanity, but there's like all time and space. And so when we get off the who's bad and good and try and move towards integration, that's all me, there isn't really, I don't know, it's how did we change the story? So yeah, I think
Mhm.
I've evolved as my consciousness has picked up on these other ways of thinking. I think we're filled with new thought leaders now. Like, who am I is really
Mhm.
shifting.
Right. And what's the most powerful reading you've ever done?
Oh, okay. I got to tell you this one. I'm giving a reading. It's a galactic astrology reading, and we're doing all the information. Suddenly, the woman I'm talking to, her screen turns bright pink, and I can still see her, but she's pink. And her star family came in. And then we stopped and we came back and they showed up again. It's for my doubting Thomas, it was like, wow, wow. And
Mm-hmm.
it freaked her out a bit, but that stunned me. And I'm thinking, okay, if that happened to her, it can happen to me. So my Andromedan star family, come on in.
Right.
But it was on the screen and it was on the video. And so it's like, or orbs come in all the time with some people, and we just create a sacred vessel. I light a candle, create the sacred vessel of highest love and support. But when these beings that are your family or parts of you in the past or future, it's remarkable how they can show you we're here.
We're here.
And we're all pink. Just,
Mm-hmm. Well, apparently hers were. And how do you deliver complex or sensitive messages? In other words, this came up because of my thing of almost dying last June. And then my astrologer said, well, there were things in your chart that would have indicated you were under threat, not just because the planets were lining up to push your body around funny. And people were like, oh, why can't she just read you and tell you that? And both she and I agree, we don't see that for people. But that's one sensitive message. The other one is, oh, the husband you're telling me that you can't live without, well, he's cheating on you. But, how do you deal with that?
well, let's just say I go with the analogy of I'm the mailman. Here's the mail.
Yeah,
I don't try and say, is it a bill? Is it a check? Is it a Christmas card? I really try and stay in
that's a
here's
brilliant way to
here's the
put it.
mail. I can't open it and I can't fret about is it good or bad, because then I'm not doing a justice to who's receiving the information.
Yeah, I can't live. I have enough trouble living my life, waking up and doing everything. What advice would you give someone who's just beginning to explore their gifts? And this is the reason I started Psychic Profiles, by the way, because I had so many people waking up.
Yeah. Um, Biggest thought would be you're not alone,
Hmm.
and don't sell yourself short. Like keep pursuing until you find the feeling and the frequency of either the teaching or the teacher or the group that resonates with you, and you'll know it because you'll just do it because you love it. Like if you're not into astrology, that's okay. It's can be very mental and very numerical, but follow tarot could be like, oh, that could be your thing. It's very visual and archetypal. So don't sell yourself short. You're not weird, you're not alone, and there's so much fun to meet other people who are following on a similar path as you. And so the best gift would be for someone to say, hey, she's with us.
Hmm.
He's with us. Okay, so come on, let's go have fun. Yeah.
Okay. And um, how would you find a trustworthy psychic or community to work with? You've been through several, so.
Yeah. I do my dowsing, and I do trust my body as the pendulum.
Mhm.
It's not about the other so much as do I really like
Is it
why
right for me?
is this time, and is it in my highest and best good for me at this time? Like I'm sitting pretty well. I have mostly questions about loved ones and how best I can be of support to them, or should I? But I would just say, yeah, tune into your knowing.
Hmm. And then,
And we've all had those one or two psychics that were crap, and you just go, I learned from it. I
oh,
bypassed the signals and I still paid a lot of money, but I learned from it, and that's an expensive lesson. So whatever you choose to do, you're going to learn either way, right, Nancy? It's like I got a great reading, I got a so-so, or I overrode my
And and
spider
it's funny
senses.
because I'll run into people who say, finally they'll break down and say, you know who gives crap readings? And it's usually the same three names. And they're big, huge egos that I wouldn't go near with a pole. And that's what I tell them. I saw that one from the other side of the street, but they had to go through it. It's like I always say the worst bosses I had taught me the most about leading people.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about ex-husbands either. So
Oh, no, no, no. That's why they're an X. There's a
yeah.
little cross through them and they're gone. Okay, what's the biggest lesson you've learned on your psychic journey?
Oh, I feel like I'm going to choke up. Back to that cosmic portraiture, it's for me to look in my own mirror and see that I'm of value and I am a spark of the creator and perfect just the way I am right now. And it's a hard road to get to, but I'm okay. In fact, I'm more than okay. I'm here. I signed up to be here for a reason, and I don't have to do anything. I can just be here and know that that's enough. I don't know. It took me a long time to sit well with myself, Nancy.
I think that's the hardest lesson we have in this life.
Yeah, to
Is
love
letting
yourself.
us be me, you be you, and all
Yeah.
that good
With
stuff.
all the warts and everything.
We've got a few minutes left. We're going
Okay.
to talk about this. It's been going under the screen the whole time. This is what it looks like. I'm going to add it to the stage. No, this is what the front page looks like. You can get the first 22 people who watch the show, who get a hold of Ursula through the ascending playground at gmail.com. What you need to send her is don't have to send her a whole name. You do need to send her an email to get back in touch with you. You need to send her your birth date and make sure if you were born outside the United States, that means that there's a difference between 3/9 and 9/3 if you know how. So I would suggest putting the month and the
Spell it out.
day and the year all the way out.
Just
And
spell
then
it out.
your birth time if you know it. And then the place you were born, right?
Yeah. The city, the state, and let me tell you why this is so important, why I offered to do this. It'll probably be more than 22 as long as my eyes don't dry out. But why I love doing this is for those who are really wanting to know, I'll leave you with that story of Sleeping Beauty. If you remember at Aurora's birth, the little graces came in, the fairies. You will have the gift of beauty and music and grace. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's that witch that came in that wasn't invited, and oh, but you're gonna, have this challenge. So these
Mm-hmm.
starlight reports to me in the world of archetype. Remember, Nancy came in, and the gift from the gods with her heliacal setting star is she's the grape gatherer. She's going to gather all of us, our ideas and people. So just knowing that that's part of one of the two stars that sits on her shoulders, for me, it helps guide me and say, this is who I am. This, even all I'm thinking I should be this, and people are telling me I should do that. But when you understand the stars beyond the astrology that just gives you soul, the name of our big bright star,
Mm-hmm.
so it adds more stars into who you are as a human being in this lifetime, and it's extraordinary. You're going to get way more information, but it's a gift.
It's just it's a different kind of quantity. And then it's like, you just need to work with it and decide how you're going to work with it.
Yeah, it's a story. And so if you
Yeah.
want to know your story, send me an email. Happy
Yeah.
to share a little picture with you.
I want to thank you so much for spending time with us today. We managed to fill the hour. And I will talk to you later. And everyone, thank you for coming.
Thanks,
And
everybody.
this will be online. You can send it and share it and like and all that good stuff. Bye.
Come see me on the Ascension Playground. Bye, everybody.